Welcome, my kings and queens. Today, we are stepping into the light of your throne, because today is the day we rewrite the rules. No more bowing, no more chasing, no more begging for scraps of attention from those who can't even recognize the treasure standing before them. You're not just anyone, you're royalty. A crown sits upon your head, and that crown does not tilt for those who fail to see its worth. Let's talk, my royals. Let's talk about power, not the kind of power that comes from shouting or demanding, but the quiet, undeniable power that comes when you pull back, when you reclaim your energy, your dignity, your throne. That's the kind of power that leaves them wondering, questioning, aching. When you stop chasing someone who treated you like a convenience, you don't lose. Oh no, my kings and queens, you win. You win the game they didn't even know you were playing. You see, when you step away, when you silence the noise, you don't just disappear. You transform. You become a force, a storm they can't predict, a shadow that lingers in the corners of their mind, making them question everything. It's not about revenge. It's about showing the world and yourself that you were never the one who needed them. They needed you. Think of this. You were the sun, the one who warmed their world, lit their path, gave their days meaning. And yet, they treated your light as if it would always shine for them, no matter how little they cared. But what happens when the sun sets? What happens when that warm, steady glow is replaced by cold, unrelenting silence? They feel it. Oh, they feel it. Like standing outside in the dead of winter, shivering, wishing for the warmth they didn't appreciate when they had it. Or let's put it another way. You're a crown jewel, brilliant, rare, priceless. And yet, they treated you like a trinket, something ordinary, replaceable. But here's the thing about a crown jewel. It doesn't lose its value when someone fails to see its worth. It shines brighter when placed out of reach. And when they finally realize what they've lost, it's too late. The crown has already moved on to someone who knows how to cherish it. My kings and queens, this is where your power lies. In the silence. In stepping back and letting them feel the void you leave behind. You're not running, you're not hiding. You're simply reclaiming your rightful place on the throne where you've always belonged. And let me tell you something about absence. Absence is not just emptiness. It's a mirror, reflecting all the ways they took you for granted. It's the weight of everything they didn't say, didn't do, didn't appreciate. And that weight? Oh, it presses down hard. They'll try to ignore it, to fill the space with distractions, but nothing will feel the same. Because what you brought into their life was unique, irreplaceable. So affirm with me, my kings and queens. Say it loud, say it proud. I am a king, or I am a queen. Type it in the comments, let the world know. Because royalty does not beg. Royalty does not chase. You are the crown. You are the prize. You are the storm that leaves them breathless, wondering why they ever thought they could do without you. If you're ready to claim your power, if you're ready to sit tall on your throne and let the silence speak louder than any words ever could, hit that like button and subscribe. This is your kingdom. This is your reign. And trust me, they'll feel the loss. Because when a king or queen steps back, the entire world notices. Now go, my royals. Wear that crown high and let them watch as you rise. Number 1. When the crown falls quiet. So, my kings and queens, gather close. Let me paint you a picture, sharp as a dagger and vivid as a firestorm. There you stand, the ruler of your own domain, pouring your light and love into someone who treated it like it would never run out. Your words? Taken for granted. Your presence? Just a fixture in the background. They drank from your well, but not once did they wonder what might happen if the water ran dry. And then, one day, you stopped. The silence came like a curtain dropping on a stage mid-performance. No announcement, no applause, just a sharp, cutting end. And oh, how it hits them. That silence. It's not just the absence of sound. It's the screaming realization that something vital has gone missing. The rhythm of their days, the comfort they didn't even realize you provided, it all collapses like a house of cards. At first, they may pretend not to notice. People like that, those who've grown fat on your generosity without ever acknowledging the banquet, they always do. They convince themselves it's just a lull, a momentary pause. But deep down, oh, they feel it. It's like walking into a room where the air has been sucked out. Like waking up in the middle of the night to find the warmth beside them has disappeared. It's subtle at first, like a flickering shadow at the edge of their vision. But the longer the silence lingers, the heavier it becomes, pressing down on them until they can't ignore it anymore. And what about you, my regal ones? Ah, the silence is loud for you too, isn't it? You sit on your throne, hands gripping the armrests, heart pounding in the echo of everything you held back. Because let's not pretend this is easy. Silence? It's a weapon that cuts both ways. You'll wonder if they'll notice, if they'll care, if you've made a terrible mistake. That fear? That gnawing, bone-deep terror that they'll forget you? It's real, my kings and queens. But it's also the fire you need to burn away your doubt. Here's the truth. That fear is the last gasp of the part of you that believed you needed them. But you don't. You never did. You are the sun, and they are the ones who basked in your glow without once asking where the light came from. Now, they're standing in the dark, and you're learning what it feels like to hold your own warmth, to keep it for yourself. And oh, how they'll begin to unravel. The silence you left behind isn't empty. It's filled with questions. Why aren't they reaching out? Did I do something wrong? The longer it stretches, the louder those questions become, echoing in their mind like the tolling of a bell. Every time they reach for their phone and don't see your name, every time they expect to hear your voice and are met with nothing, it chips away at the facade they've built. You see, my royals, people don't often realize the weight of your presence until it's gone. You were the constant, the foundation, the unspoken reassurance that someone out there cared enough to be there. And now they're left holding the emptiness where you used to be. It's not just quiet. It's haunting. But don't mistake this for a game. This isn't about playing hard to get or some petty revenge. No, no, no. This is about reclaiming your throne. It's about understanding that your value isn't tied to their attention, their affection, or their recognition. It's about standing tall in your silence, letting it speak for you, letting it remind you that you are a king, a queen, and your worth is non-negotiable. So how do you face the fear? You embrace it. You sit with it, let it claw at you, and then you remind yourself that fear is just a shadow. It has no power unless you let it. You remind yourself that the silence isn't a punishment, it's a gift, a space where you can finally hear your own voice instead of theirs. A moment to rebuild the parts of yourself that were worn thin by their neglect. And what happens to them as the silence stretches on? They begin to see the cracks. The world they thought was so solid without you starts to feel hollow. They'll try to fill the gap, of course, maybe with distractions, maybe with other people, but nothing will fit. Because the truth is, you weren't just anyone. You were the light in their shadow, the warmth in their winter. And now, they're left with the cold. Eventually, they'll have to face it. They took the sun for granted. And now they're stumbling in the dark. And you're rising. You're stronger, brighter, more powerful than ever. The silence you feared has become your ally, the darkness your proving ground. And when they finally realize what they've lost, when they come back to find you, they'll see that you've changed. You're no longer the giver, the chaser, the one who stayed when they didn't deserve it. You're the ruler of your own kingdom, and they're just a face in the crowd. So sit with the silence, my kings and queens. Let it roar. Let it teach them what words never could. Let it remind you of who you truly are. The crown is yours, and no one can take it from you. But here's the best part, my kings and queens. The silence is just the opening act. Oh yes, the real show is about to begin, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. What comes next will take everything we've just unraveled and flip it on its head. The curiosity, the longing, the regret, they're just the whispers before the storm. So, if you're ready to dive even deeper into this royal awakening, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay close. Because next time, we're not just reclaiming the crown, we're setting the whole kingdom ablaze. See you soon, my royals. The story's just getting started. Number 2. The crown they never deserved. So, my kings and queens, after the silence begins to settle, like the eerie calm after a storm, something starts to shift in their world. At first, they tell themselves it's fine, just a quiet moment, just a temporary absence. They convince themselves they don't need you, that your presence was never really that important. But oh, how wrong they are. The silence, your silence, grows roots. It starts to whisper to them in the dead of night, poking holes in the lies they tell themselves. And then it hits them, like a lightning bolt out of a clear sky. The realization of your value, the weight of who you were in their life. You see, when you were there, you were the crown they wore without a second thought. Polished, brilliant, and irreplaceable. But now that you're gone, they're left with nothing but an empty throne and a hollow sense of what used to be. At first, it's little things that creep in. The way you always made the mundane moments feel special, like turning cold rain into gold. The way your laugh had a way of breaking through their worst days, like sunlight cutting through heavy clouds. The way you stood there, unwavering, while they acted like the world owed them everything. They start to miss it, like a hand reaching out for something that isn't there. But here's the twist. They don't just miss you. No, it's deeper than that. They begin to realize they needed you. You weren't just someone who filled the silence. You were the melody that made the silence worth hearing. And now, with you gone, their days feel flat, their nights too long, their world a little colder. It's not just missing, it's an ache, a dull throb that refuses to fade. And let's be honest, my royals, this part is bittersweet for you, isn't it? There's a part of you that wants them to feel this. To feel the loss of the value they didn't recognize when it was right in front of them. But there's also a part of you, the stronger part, that knows this isn't about them at all. Their realization of your worth isn't what defines it. Your value isn't tied to their understanding, their regret, or their pain. It stands alone, just like you. Still, it's delicious to imagine, isn't it? Picture them sitting in a room, scrolling through their phone, realizing your name hasn't popped up in days. Their favorite restaurant feels a little emptier without you sitting across from them. Their favorite song, it sounds hollow now because it reminds them of the way you used to hum along. They start to see your fingerprints on every corner of their life, and it drives them mad. They'll try to downplay it at first, brush it off like it's no big deal. They might even distract themselves, chase someone else, or drown their thoughts in meaningless noise. But that noise will never drown out the truth. You were the crown, the treasure they carried without ever realizing its weight. And now they're walking around bareheaded, exposed, and they can feel it. For you, this is the moment of reckoning. This is when you look in the mirror and see yourself for who you are, someone who brought more than they ever deserved. You poured your energy, your love, your time into them like it was an endless well. But now you see it, don't you? You were never just an accessory in their life. You were the foundation, the source, the fire. And now that fire burns for you alone. What they feel now, my kings and queens, is the bitter taste of regret mingling with the sweet ache of longing. They realize, perhaps for the first time, that you weren't just a convenience. You weren't just there to make their life easier. You were the crown they should have bowed to, the light they should have cherished. But they didn't. And now they're left with shadows and silence where your brilliance used to shine. The beauty of this moment is that it isn't yours to fix. Their realization is theirs alone. You don't need to explain your worth, to seek validation, or to offer comfort. Let them sit with it. Let them feel the absence. Let them understand that your value was never negotiable, never conditional, and certainly never theirs to dismiss. And you rise, you polish your crown, you rebuild your kingdom, and you remember this: you are the prize, the rarity, the masterpiece. They may come to see your worth now, but the truth is, you've always been priceless. Whether they realize it or not, doesn't change the fact that your value was never theirs to define. Let them sit with their empty hands while you move forward, radiant, unshaken, and more powerful than ever. The throne was always yours, my kings and queens. Now it's time to claim it. And here's where it gets delicious, my kings and queens. The silence was just the first crack in their perfect little world. What's coming next? Oh, it's the moment they start to see your value, the crown they tossed aside, now shining brighter than ever. They'll realize what they lost, but by then, you'll be miles ahead, untouchable. So, if you're ready to see how this tale twists further, like this video, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. The best is yet to come, and you won't want to miss it. Number 3. A kingdom without its ruler. The void you leave, my kings and queens, isn't just a hole. It's a chasm, deep and unrelenting, echoing with every moment of what once was. They don't see it coming at first. No, they think life will go on just fine without you. They tell themselves your absence is nothing more than a passing shadow, a cloud that will drift away. But oh, how wrong they are. Because when the ruler steps away from the throne, the kingdom doesn't just lose its leader, it begins to crumble. At first, it's the small things that go unnoticed. The casual texts, the thoughtful check-ins, the way your presence made their day just a little bit brighter. Without you, those moments feel empty, like a stage with the spotlight turned off. And then it starts to hit them, the weight of your absence. Not just the silence, but the gaping void where your energy, your warmth, your spark used to be. Imagine a kingdom without its ruler. The streets are quiet, the celebrations muted. The throne sits empty, cold, and lifeless. That's what you've left behind in their world. You were the one who brought meaning to the mundane, the glue that held everything together, even when they didn't realize it. Now they're stumbling through a life that feels hollow, grasping at fragments of what used to be whole. You see, my royals, your presence wasn't just an accessory in their life. It was the foundation, the stability they leaned on without ever acknowledging it. And now they're realizing just how much they depended on it. But here's the twist. That void you left isn't just a reminder of what they lost. It's a mirror, showing them everything they failed to appreciate. It's a gaping, unavoidable truth that no distraction can fill. They'll try, of course. Oh, they'll try to fill that void with anything they can find. New faces, new places, endless distractions. But none of it fits. It's like trying to patch a hole in their soul with broken pieces that don't belong. Because the truth is, you weren't just anyone. You were the one who made their life feel whole, even when they didn't have the courage to admit it. And you might feel that void too. Let's not pretend this is easy. When you leave, you'll feel the pull, the ache, the nagging urge to go back. But you won't, because you know better now. That void is not yours to fill anymore. It belongs to them, a haunting reminder of what they lost when they failed to see the treasure in front of them. So let them sit in it, my kings and queens. Let them feel the emptiness, the weight of a kingdom without its ruler. And while they stumble in the dark, you'll rise, stronger and brighter, ready to rule a kingdom worthy of your crown. Number 4. The mystery of the vanished monarch. When a king or queen vanishes from the kingdom, the whispers begin. At first, they tell themselves they don't care. They're gone. Good riddance. Oh, but that's just the story they tell themselves to sleep at night. Because in the quiet moments, when the world stops spinning, a question starts to bubble up from the depths of their mind. Where have they gone? You see, my kings and queens, your absence doesn't just create silence, it creates a mystery, a puzzle with no easy answers. You were there, constant, dependable, shining like the North Star. And now you've disappeared into the horizon, leaving them staring at an empty sky. At first, they try to ignore it, brushing it off as a temporary thing. They'll be back. They always come back. But as the days turn into weeks, that confidence starts to waver, replaced by something far more unsettling: curiosity. It starts small. A casual thought here, a fleeting memory there. What are they up to? But curiosity has a way of growing, doesn't it? Like a fire that starts with a single spark, it spreads until it consumes everything. They'll find themselves scrolling through their phone, staring at your name, wondering why it hasn't appeared in their notifications. They'll replay old conversations in their mind, looking for clues. Did I miss something? Did they say something I didn't catch? And then they go searching. Oh yes, my royals, they'll start digging. Social media becomes their new obsession. They'll comb through your posts, your pictures, your comments, desperate for a glimpse of your life without them. They want to know where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. Because here's the thing about curiosity: it thrives in the absence of answers. The less they know, the more they want to know. The more they want to know, the more they realize how little they understood you in the first place. That's the beauty of this stage, isn't it? When you were always there, they didn't need to wonder about you. You were an open book, pages turned for their convenience. But now you've closed the book, locked it away, and left them standing there, empty-handed. And oh, how it drives them mad. The mystery of you, the enigma you've become, pulls at them like a thread they can't stop tugging. But let me tell you, my royals, this curiosity isn't just about you. It's about them. It forces them to confront their own blindness, their own ignorance. They start to realize they didn't know you as well as they thought. And that realization, it's like a crack in the foundation of their confidence. Because if they didn't see you clearly, what else have they been blind to? And you? Oh, you don't have to do a thing. Let them wonder. Let their curiosity gnaw at them like a hunger that won't fade. You don't owe them answers. Your life your story, your journey. These are your treasures, and they're not for the taking. The rise of curiosity, my kings and queens, is not your burden to bear. It's their awakening, their reckoning. And as they sit there, consumed by the mystery of your absence, you'll be out there, living, thriving, and becoming someone even they can't begin to understand. Let them chase the questions while you embrace the freedom. Let them unravel. Number 5. A hunger they can't satisfy. So, my kings and queens, let me take you to that delicious place where silence has planted its seeds, and now something deeper starts to grow. A hunger, not the kind you can fill with food or distraction. No. This is the hunger of longing, and it's a beast that feeds on every memory, every moment, every smile you gave them. The absence of your presence isn't just a void anymore. It's a relentless ache. You've become the taste they can't forget, the song stuck in their head that refuses to stop playing. They'll carry on with their days, pretending not to notice at first. They'll scroll through their phone, hear a song that once played in the background of your time together, or walk by that place where you laughed so hard they almost forgot their worries. And just like that, you'll hit them. Not like a passing thought, but like a tidal wave crashing into their carefully built walls of indifference. You are no longer there, but oh, how you are everywhere. That's the thing about longing. It creeps in slowly, like a shadow at sunset, and before they know it, it's wrapped itself around them. Every little thing becomes a reminder of you. The way you laughed, the warmth in your voice, the way you made them feel seen in a world full of fleeting glances. They'll try to shake it off, of course. Maybe they'll distract themselves with the company of others or throw themselves into work. But nothing will taste the same, sound the same, or feel the same. You were the spark, and now they're left fumbling in the dark, wishing for just one more moment of your light. And what about you, my glorious rulers? You're sitting high on your throne now, aren't you? Watching from afar as the world they thought they could live without you crumbles, piece by piece. Because you're not the one longing anymore. You've moved past the ache, past the need, and into your power. Every day you're building a new version of yourself, stronger, brighter, untouchable. You are the crown they can never wear again, and they know it. Longing, my kings and queens, is the price they pay for thinking they could live without you. It's the itch they can't scratch, the thirst they can't quench, the dream they wake from just before it gets good. And you're no longer in their reach. They thought they had all the time in the world to cherish you, but now that you've stepped back, they realize too late what they've lost. But don't get too comfortable just yet. Oh no, the game isn't over, because this longing, as sharp and painful as it is only the beginning. What happens when that ache turns into something more desperate, more consuming? Well, you'll just have to wait and see, won't you? So, if you're ready to see where this hunger leads, like this video, hit subscribe and stick around. The story isn't finished, my royals, not even close. Number 6. A wound they can't heal. So, my kings and queens, let's dive into the part of the story that truly twists the knife. Regret. Oh, how it stings, doesn't it? A wound that doesn't bleed but burns, deep and relentless. And they, the ones who brushed you off like a fleeting breeze, are now feeling it in every corner of their soul. The regret isn't subtle, it doesn't whisper. It screams, loud and raw, echoing in the emptiness your absence left behind. At first, they might have shrugged you off, thought they could move on, thought they'd be just fine without you. But here's the thing about regret. It doesn't knock politely on the door. It crashes through like a storm, tearing down every wall of denial they've built. It starts small, maybe a quiet moment of reflection. A memory creeps in, the way you were always there, always giving, always showing up when no one else did. And then it hits them. They didn't just lose someone, they lost you. Regret has this funny way of digging its claws into the quiet moments. They'll be sitting alone, scrolling through their memories, and suddenly it's there. That time you made them laugh when their world was falling apart. That moment you showed them kindness they didn't deserve. The sacrifices you made, the love you poured into them. And all they can do now is sit in the rubble of what they took for granted, wondering how they let it slip away. You see, my royals, regret isn't just about missing you. It's about realizing they failed you. It's that sickening ache that whispers, "If only I had been better. If only I had appreciated them while they were here." They'll replay those moments in their mind like a broken record, wishing they could go back, knowing they can't. Because regret? Oh, it's a wound that doesn't heal. It lingers, festers, reminds them every single day of what they lost. And what about you? You're no longer the one carrying the weight. You've stepped back, reclaiming your throne, and while they're drowning in the storm of their regret, you're standing tall, stronger than ever. The regret doesn't pull you back, it pushes you forward. It's the proof that you were never the problem. You were the gift, the crown they thought would always sit waiting on the shelf. But now they can only look at it from afar, wishing for what they can never have again. Regret, my kings and queens, is a mirror they can't escape. It reflects all their flaws, all the times they fell short, and all the ways they should have fought harder to keep you. But here's the best part. It's too late. They can't undo the choices they made, can't erase the ways they let you down. And that realization, that's the sting. A wound they'll carry long after you've moved on. But the story isn't over. Oh no. This regret is only the beginning of what's to come. Because as the wound deepens, something else starts to brew. Something even more desperate. So, if you're ready to see how this tale unfolds, like this video, hit subscribe, and stay close. The crown isn't just yours. It's a legacy they'll never forget. Number 7. A new flame they can't touch. So my kings and queens, let's step into the shadows, shall we? The part of the tale where you've gone silent, stepped back, and become something they can no longer predict. Oh, and doesn't that just drive them mad? You see, when you were there, always reaching out, always showing up, they thought they had you figured out. You were their constant, their safe little secret. But now, you've vanished from their radar, and suddenly, you've transformed into the one thing they can't resist. A mystery. You're no longer the open book they skimmed through without appreciating the words. No, my royals, you've become a locked journal, filled with stories they no longer have the privilege to read. And that is where the intrigue begins. People always want what they can't have, and now you're the flame they can't touch, the locked door they can't open. Every day that passes without a sign of you, without a clue to what you're up to, the questions grow louder in their mind. What happened? Where are they? Who are they with? Curiosity is a funny thing. It starts as a whisper, but soon it consumes them. They'll find themselves scrolling through old messages, looking for answers in your words, piecing together fragments of the past to understand what changed. They'll check your social media, trying to catch a glimpse of your life, to see if there's someone else, now, basking in the glow they took for granted. And every time they come up empty-handed, the mystery deepens, the pull becomes stronger. You, my kings and queens, have become the storm they can't predict. They thought they knew your every move. But now you're unpredictable, untouchable, a force they can't control. And it burns them, doesn't it? That they used to have access to the warmth of your world, but now all they get is the cold, hard realization that they're on the outside looking in. But here's the thing about mystery. It's not just about what they don't know. It's about what they imagine. And oh, their imagination is running wild now. Every smile you post, every glimpse of joy, every sign that you're thriving without them is like fuel to the fire. They'll start to wonder if you're better off without them, and deep down, they know the answer. You are. And what about you? You've reclaimed your crown, your light, your power. You're no longer explaining yourself, no longer giving them access to the parts of you they didn't appreciate. You've become a world they no longer get to explore. And that's what keeps them up at night. Not knowing, not being able to reach you, not being able to touch what they once held so carelessly. But don't think for a second that the story ends here, my royals. Oh no, this intrigue is just the beginning. Because as their curiosity turns to obsession, something even bigger begins to unravel. Like this video, hit subscribe and stay close. What's coming next will make them question everything they thought they knew. The crown is yours, and the mystery. That's the flame that will burn forever in their mind. Number 8. When the mirror shows the truth. So, my kings and queens, let's take a stroll through the Hall of Mirrors, shall we? The moment where the silence, the void, the longing, they all do their job. And then comes the reflection, not the fleeting kind. No, this is the brutal kind. The one that strips away their defenses and forces them to stare into the truth of who they are and what they've done. Your absence has become a mirror they can't escape, and oh, how it shows them everything they refused to see before. They'll sit there, replaying every moment. The conversations they brushed off, the love they took for granted, the times they didn't show up when you needed them most. One by one, those memories come marching in like a parade of their failures. And the worst part? There's no one to blame but themselves. You're no longer there to explain, to forgive, to fix. They're left alone with the truth, and the truth is heavy. Reflection is a cruel teacher. It doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't lie. It whispers, this is who you are, this is what you lost. And for them, that realization cuts deeper than any words ever could. They start to see you clearly now, not as the constant they dismissed, but as the light they should have cherished. It's not just regret anymore, it's understanding. Painful, raw understanding. And you, my kings and queens, you've already moved on to bigger and brighter things. Their reflection is their burden now, not yours. So let them sit with it. Let them stare into that mirror, searching for answers they'll never find. Because the truth? You were the best thing they had, and now you're the best thing they'll never have again. Like this video, hit subscribe, and stay close. The mirror isn't done with them yet. Number 9. A monarch standing alone. So, my kings and queens, this is where you truly shine. The moment they see you not just surviving, but thriving. You're no longer the one who bends, who chases, who waits. You're standing tall, radiant, untouchable, a monarch who needs no one to validate their worth. And let me tell you, there's nothing more magnetic than self-sufficiency. They look at you now and don't see the person they once overlooked. No, they see someone transformed. Someone who didn't crumble in their absence, but built an empire. Your independence, your strength, it's intoxicating. Every move you make, every smile you share, reminds them that you're more than they ever gave you credit for. You've become the flame they can't look away from. and it burns them, knowing they're no longer part of your glow. You, my royals, are untouchable now. A crown on your head, power in your steps, a world revolving around your own axis. They feel it, the pull of your strength, the magnetism of your self-sufficiency. But here's the catch: you no longer need them. And that truth? It's a lesson they'll carry forever. Like this video, hit subscribe and stay close. The next chapter? It's where the longing becomes undeniable. The crown is yours. Number 10. Crawling back to the throne. So, my kings and queens, the final act unfolds, and it's a sight to behold. After the silence, the longing, the regret, and the torment of reflection, they find themselves at the one place they never thought they'd be, at your feet, yearning for what they let slip away. The desire for reconnection isn't subtle. It doesn't knock gently. It crashes into them like a tidal wave, pulling them under, making them realize that nothing, not anyone, not anything, can fill the space you left behind. They'll try to ignore it at first, of course. Pride's a funny thing, isn't it? But every passing day without you is a reminder that their world is colder, smaller, dimmer. The thought of you thriving without them, the memories of your warmth, your laughter, your light, it all becomes too much to bear. They start to think about reaching out. They rehearse the words they'll say, the apologies they'll offer. But deep down, they know this is no simple return. This is a climb, a crawl back to the throne they once abandoned. And you're not the same ruler they left behind. You've grown, risen, transformed. If they want back into your kingdom, they'll have to earn it. Like this video, hit subscribe and stay tuned. The crown is yours, always. My kings and queens, we've reached the end of this journey, but your story, it's just beginning. You've listened, you've felt it, and I know, deep in your heart, you're ready to claim your crown. This isn't just about silence, longing, or regret. It's about you stepping into your power, standing tall, and showing the world and them that you were always the prize. But now I have a little favor to ask. You see, this space we've built together, it thrives on your energy, your strength, and your voice. If this resonated with you, if you felt even a spark of truth in these words, then let me know. Drop a "keep it up" in the comments so I know we're building this kingdom together. Hit that like button as a sign of solidarity, of reclaiming your throne. And subscribe, because this isn't just a moment, it's a movement. Don't leave this unfinished. This is your declaration, your time to say, I am a king, I am a queen, and my crown is untouchable. So let's keep rising together, because your story deserves to be told. And this is just the beginning. Keep that crown high, my royals, always. See you in the next masterpiece.